There is a general feeling that the media is a corrupt institution in when it's owned by corporate advertisers and corporate sponsors, and it is known to fund many aspects of the political system that contribute to a cycle. But it's especially interesting when they are called out on air for that very thing.
Many journalists, many members of the media are deaf to the frustration in the country, maybe because journalists, at least major media outlets, tend to be paid more than the average American, or because they live in big urban cities instead of in the heartland. What do you think of that theory, Anna?
Well, I think that it's true, especially of establishment media, to be completely honest with you, because the same types of components that corrupt our politicians, I think, also corrupt mainstream media. So it's really difficult for mainstream, let's say, cable outlets to talk about things like income inequality, wealth inequality, when the advertisers that are funding their shows are the same corporations that want to ensure that the same system continues. So I think when people watch digital media or new media, they get a completely different message. They focus on the issues that matter or resonate more with the constituency.
That was Anna Kasparian, co-host of The Young Turks, which is a new show on YouTube, and she makes a really good point here, trying to understand what conflict of interest the corporate media has in covering politics. Because if a company like CNN, for example, who's owned by Time Warner, contributes to politicians in power, they are less likely to question them. So the corruption, which is an unsaid aspect of the political system that the media doesn't talk about because they benefit from it, is finally being challenged here, and is being challenged by a pundit who is part of independent media who does not suffer that same conflict of interest. But Anna's opponent, Scottie Nell Hughes, who's a Trump supporter, that was the other person on the other side of the screen there, wants to counter her narrative and basically say, we want to get the viewer's attention at whatever cost, even if it doesn't mean informing them. So here's that.
Well, she makes some very good points, but honestly, I disagree, because in journalism, we know if it bleeds, it leads. And we're not just talking about the physical. You know, when we're $19 trillion in debt, when we have 94 million people out of the workforce right now, we see terrorism issues not only abroad, but here at home. Those are the stories that are leading our headlines. And so a journalist has to have their head completely in the sand if they don't realize that that is what people are watching, and the ratings show that those types of headlines make it. So I actually think journalists do know about the anger. If anything, they've not necessarily tried to feed it, but haven't done anything to definitely try to put the warm and fuzzy stories as their headline.
Did you catch it? The ratings show that this is the story that works for us. Yeah, that's quite an admission, that it's more important to have good ratings than to actually inform the public. This is yet another example showing just how much corporate profit matters more than information to the dominant news media that's presently on television. There are only 6 corporations which control 90% of the media, and Time Warner isn't doing itself any favors by admitting that it's more important for them to get good ratings than to actually provide a public service to the viewer. That's what news was initially designed for, even when it did have corporate advertisers in the start. Advertising agencies were people who ran television, but still, that shouldn't be something you just say right there as if it's not a problem. The ratings show, oh, this is a news show, and the job of that is to inform and engage the public. not just get them to watch, but inform them too. So, but Anna's not done here, and she definitely has objections to that, because there are things that the public cares about that the media do not bother to cover. So, here's Anna delivering a technical knockout to Scotty Nell Hughes.
I just wanted to make a statement about how a lot of the issues that matter the most to the electorate don't get covered at all. So let me give you a quick example of that.
Yeah.
Student loan debt is one of them. That is impacting our economy in one of the most negative ways imaginable. And we're sitting here having discussions about immigration and building walls. Right now, if you focus on the actual numbers, and this is according to Pew Research, immigration from Mexico is below net zero. What does that mean? That we have more Mexican immigrants leaving the country right now than coming in. And instead of focusing on issues that actually matter to millennial voters, for instance, we're focusing on non-issues in the country. The fear-mongering about Muslims and terrorism. Go ahead,
I hate to
Scotty.
tell you this. There's more.
No.
Well, I hate to tell you this. There's more in this world than just millennials. And I'm sorry. I agree. College debt's a big issue. But when people are actually scared for their lives, that is the headline right there. So I agree. And it also looks at party lines. But I think across the board, both parties right now have let their constituencies down. And the media is just sitting there telling the stories. I mean, I'm sorry. If there was a terrorist action that happened in the United States and they let off with college debt, I would consider that media outlet to be a complete joke.
Okay, but so you think that our current economic situation in the United States is not a big deal? You'd rather fearmonger about non-existent threats inside the United States as opposed to focusing on the issues that are burdening our economy. And by the way, student loan debt doesn't just impact students. It also impacts you, and it impacts our economy, because how are millennials supposed to contribute to our economy when we're burdened with student loan debt, when we're dealing with a system that's corrupt, when 62 richest people in the world own more wealth than the bottom 3.5 billion people in the world? How are you going to talk to me about, oh, these issues don't matter?
Yeah, you do, especially when I'm on with her.
I could just imagine the anchor just being constantly barraging his ear. Get off, get off, get off, get off, get off. She's calling us out. We don't want to hear that on air. We can't have that on air. They were not prepared for that at all. And the fact that Anna was able to get on CNN and call the entire establishment structure out for their sensationalism bias is really a testament to what alternative media can be capable of, and the damage that corporate media can do, how fast they will want to get off someone actually calling them out, because they need to uphold their reputation. In CNN's case, it's the most trusted name in news. Obviously, with a clip like that, they're not doing a good job upholding it. But when Anna was told, I don't want to play referee, she said, you do, especially when I'm on with her. And the anchor did have to play referee, and that round goes to Anna Kasparian, calling out CNN on their own show, and the entire establishment media along with it. Thanks for watching. This is Democratize the Media. Make a media that works for all. Thank you.